Welcome back to the Tin Man project. We've pretty much completed the body now. Got everything done here, the legs, arms, torso, and we're going to move on to the head now. And I'd like to start that off using a subdivision primitive. It kind of quads things off nicely and we can get a nice smooth shape on the jowl area. So let's go ahead and use a sub-D sphere. Let's drop it in down here on the bottom. I'm going to drag it up and scale it in the center. So I'm bringing these points out right here to the edge where the eye is at, and we can elongate it a little bit. And let's go ahead and convert that under Modify, Convert, Sub-D to polygons. And it doesn't look like it really did anything. It's just converted it over as is. We've got our standard components here for polygons. I'm going to grab the vertices on the entire top part of this. I'm going to drag it up to the top. And I'm going to hit R on the keyboard. I'm going to grab the green one, Y, and I'm going to drag that up to the center. And you can see that flattens everything out. And then I'm going to drag the center one all the way out until it meets the edge right there. Looks like it needs to be brought down just a little bit. All right. And I'm going to grab these sides right here. It's kind of the cheekbone jowl area. And scale those out a little bit as well. And I'm going to drag a marquee over these groups right here. You can kind of see what I'm doing here in the perspective. Got these four selected. And I'm just going to scale them in a little bit. It's rounding out top area to make it a cylinder, keep it a cylinder shape. Okay, so that's what we've got right now. And I'm going to come in here and start inserting some edge loops. I'm going to drop one right here. That's at the corner of the eye. I'm going to drag another one right across here. I'm not going to worry about anything over here on this side. We're actually going to delete that side of the face. So with these selected, these two inserts right here that we did, I'm going to double click on both of them, hit R on the keyboard, and I'm going to scale them up in Z a little bit. So if you look from up above, it was flat initially like that. Anytime you insert an edge loop, you pretty much have to come back in and shape it out a little bit. I may have overshaped that. Just drag that back a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to drop one in right here. Just kind of dividing this up and here. And you can see how that's flat as well. So I'm going to end that process. Just double click on these four edges, hitting R on the keyboard, and we're just going to scale this in X, just enough to kind of round it out. Okay. And you can see our angle right here at the bottom. That's still very flat. So I'm going to grab the vertices, that whole group, across the bottom, so it goes all the way around. W on the keyboard and move those down in Y. Same thing here. Dragging a marquee and making sure I've got all of them that we inserted. And dragging those down to here. We can kind of come back here in our front view and sort of check our angles. This little piece needs to be brought up here. This probably needs to come down a little bit. I'm starting to shape the mouth area, or what's going to become the mouth. So just dragging very small marquees around these areas, kind of dragging them into place. Got this one right here that needs to come out. And the marquees are getting the ones on the back side as well. I want to make sure we do that. Okay, so that's looking fairly even. I'm looking at the edge flow this way. Okay. Let's go ahead and delete this side of the face. I'm going to grab faces all over here, hit delete. So we'll just model one side of the face and then mirror it over. I'm going to insert an edge loop right here. We're going to need one here as well. This is going to be the mouth shape. One on the top of the eye. And we'll end that process right there. You can see this edge right here. It's kind of doing the same thing. That was our original geometry right there. We're going to have to grab the vertices and move those out. So I just drug a marquee around, got all of those. This whole group right here. So that's rounding this area out. Okay. Bringing these back here, kind of lining that up with this point at the bottom of the eye, keeping it center. And this can come over, kind of following that edge flow right there. This is the corner of the mouth. And this is kind of the lower part of the nose, kind of where the eye is starting to come across there. I want to keep this edge very, very straight here. We're going to actually extrude that. The only area where it's going to come over is this right here. It's going to kind of push over a little bit so we don't have a completely straight line. So I'm actually going to start shaping the eye right now. And I'm clicking and dragging as opposed to a marquee. You can see the back side. This is the back side here. I've got X-ray on. If I turn that off, you can just see the front side. I want to be able to see through, though, to my character so I can line things up. So at this point, when we're shaping the eye, you don't want to drag a marquee and shape the back side. You don't need an eye socket on the back of the head. So we just want to click on the vertice and move it. Same thing here. I'm going to click and drag this one down. Click and drag this one down. Trying to keep this edge very straight here still. We're eventually going to add another edge loop through here, so I'm not too worried about the spaces being uneven. Okay, I'm going to come out here. You can start to see our eye socket being shaped here. This is the mouth being shaped. And we can shape the front and the back as well. Let's go ahead and do that from our side view before we get too far. Kind of see how this is not lining up. That's our original outline of our subdivision surface. So I'm going to drag marquees around the bottom two rows of vertices and start dragging those out to position. And I'm not going to take them all the way out to the very edge. We've got to make an extrude here, so I'm going to leave a little space for that. Kind of take everything in a little bit. Just bring this out to here and up. And again, I'm watching the edge flow across here. I think I'm going to drag this whole row and pull it up. This is where the eye is starting to narrow down. And pull this one back for the eye socket. And I'm just going to shape these a little bit more here. Maybe this one can come back a little bit more. Same thing here. All right, that looks pretty good. Maybe just bring that one up there. So let's get the front part now. I'm going to start down here. Bringing his chin out and his mouth area. That's going to become his mouth. Leaving this one alone. That's the eye socket that we started. So I'm just grabbing these two right here. I'm going to pull them out. Okay. Let's come back here into perspective. Looks like that may need to come out. It's just sinking in a little bit. That probably should have pulled that one out as well. Okay. To help us kind of visualize the eye, I'm going to take that vertice in the middle and I'm just going to kind of push it back in. We're eventually going to delete those faces, but for now I'm just going to kind of push it back in. Some people like to go ahead and delete faces right away. I'm going to just kind of hang on to them for a little bit longer while we shape things. Come back out to the front view. Gonna look at where our mouth is. These two can probably come up like that. And these two in the front can come down. That's kind of the brow area. And our mouth, which is this front one right here, can come up a little bit higher. This edge needs to be brought over. To here. And I did drag a marquee for those. So you can see this is the front part of the geometry. This is the back that I kind of left alone. So let's come back out here. Let's continue kind of working with the eye. So I notice a little area right here that's kind of indenting. That's kind of our corner piece right there. And those usually smooth out okay. I'm just going to kind of help it a little bit there and pull that out. Round it out a little bit. Okay. And our eye socket can probably come back just a little bit more like that. And maybe out a little bit more. Okay. And I think we can probably pull this up just a little bit more too. So let's go ahead and shape the eye. Start building the eye socket. So I'm grabbing all of those faces. And we're going to extrude those and push those back in world space. I'm pushing them straight back. It's getting a little too close to the edge here, so I'm just going to kind of angle it a little bit. Activate scale, scale it in. And we go ahead and just push it back all the way as far as we need it. About right there. Probably scale it in just a little bit more. All right. And I'm going to drop in an edge loop right here, one in the back. And we still need to start kind of shaping the outside of the eye. This is pretty much how you would go about starting the eye socket and area around the eye for a character, an organic character. You would draw around like this and finish that off. I don't think those actually connected right there. So I'm just selecting those two. You don't ever want to have vertices that aren't meeting up like that. You want to make sure that they're merged. So I've drawn all the way around the eye socket. And you can see I've created triangles, 4 of them on the corners here. Those are pretty easy to get rid of. You just select the 2 on the outside of the triangle and you merge them. You can see how that brings that together. We're going to have to reshape this. I'll do it from the front so we can maintain that straight line. Grabbing those 2, merging them. Same thing over here. And here. Okay. So if we were building a human character, we would kind of continue that process several times and sort of push the areas in for an eyelid. In this case, he's got a pretty flat surface here, but he did need a little kind of extra help around here. And if you want to do any additional shaping around there, you can. You can even extrude these faces around if you want him to have kind of an area that extends out there. You can do that. And we're going to have to shape the mouth now. And it's kind of similar. I'm following this curve right here. And I kind of need to connect that from here to here. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take that all the way up and to the back here. Hit enter. So we went all the way to the back. And as far as these faces back here, we don't really need those. So I'm going to just go ahead and delete them. Okay. So we do have a triangle right here. We'll address that in a little bit. That'll just be an edge loop put in right here. That'll solve that problem. But before we do that, let's kind of come back here and reshape this line right here, this edge. I want to make sure that it's running parallel straight up and down. So I'm just going to grab that and line it back up here. And same thing with this one. Take it and pull it down here. And we might have to just reshape a couple of these to kind of correct that. Pull these up here. We inserted edge that went up through here. We kind of need to, first reshape that to kind of round the area out, especially right here in the front. So you see how that's rounding out the bottom part of the eye. And we'll want to insert an edge loop up on top here. I think this little angle right here is going to make him look angry if we don't. So let's go ahead and, okay, so if we insert an edge loop, it's going to go all the way around. So we're actually going to have to draw that in. So I'm going to start from the top here in the center. And this line's black. It's typically it's orange in the perspective view. Let's go back to that. I'm going to carry it all the way back to the end of the eye socket. And now we can come back to the front view and reshape that. Just grabbing those and moving them up. So that kind of rounds the eye out a little bit nicer. Don't have to worry too much about the eye socket back here. It's not really going to be seen. Okay. And just kind of straightening that line out a little bit. And I can actually grab these right here and kind of pull them in and over a little bit. And I'm just going to grab these right here and kind of pull them up, straighten them up a little bit so they're just sort of going straight across. Okay, so let's come back out of here, go back to object mode, and let's just hit 3 on the keyboard, start to take a look at how this is shaping up. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. I'm just kind of looking at some of the edges around here. We could actually grab a couple of these vertices and pull them out a little bit. That's kind of where he got a little flat from inserting. Some of those edge loops cause that problem. Same thing right here. It's just a little flat. Okay, so we're going to grab the kind of jaw area and extrude that and push that in. So I'm dragging a marquee across the bottom part and missed a couple, so just shift select. So I've got all of those kind of on the inside of that area. Extrude that and push it in. Okay. So maybe about like that. And we're going to delete all of these faces here that just got created from that along this edge. We don't want to keep those. That would cause a problem when we merged or mirrored it over. When they merged together, you'd have a big seam right there caused by that. Okay, so we've got that. We've got a little bit of a flat area down here. I'm seeing that on his chin. So we could always insert another edge loop right there. Let's just go ahead and grab this vertex. I just want to kind of straighten it out a little bit. So all this stuff kind of matters, not only for animation and the way it deforms, keeping all of the edge flow consistent. You don't want things kind of pulled over like this and that, because when it goes to get rigged and deformed and all of that, when it's animated, that type of thing will cause problems. It also makes texture mapping more difficult than it already is. Okay, so I've got another little edge here that's got pulled over. I'm just going to straighten that out. And I got a little indent here. I'm going to pull that out. Same thing here. Just grabbing that and pulling it out. Okay. I'm going to grab all of the faces over here now, including around the eye. So I'm going to hold down Control Shift, and that will kind of grab the additional ones that I didn't get. There's a few there, and those right there. And just deselect these up here. Just holding down the Control key to deselect. Same thing here, deselecting those. And I'll just click on those. Okay, so we've got all of these selected now. And I actually think we want to make sure that we don't have any of these on the inside selected. So that area that we just extruded, that edge along there, you don't want to have any selected along there. And I think we want the whole, let's go ahead and grab the whole back side, add that to the selection. Okay. So we're going to extrude this out. And I grabbed some along the top here. Let me deselect that. Along the top here. And you want to make sure you don't have anything selected on the top. All right, so let's go ahead and extrude that. And we're going to pull that out. Okay, so nothing terribly dramatic. That's probably a little bit more than I needed. Just creating a small edge right there. So the jowl has got actually 2 extrudes on it, and then the face and kind of brow area in the front here just has that one edge. Okay, I'm going to hit Q to get out of that. Right mouse click and go back to object mode. Okay, I'm not going to insert any edge loops. I think we should probably copy it over now and then insert our edge loops. So let's just take a quick look at it here. Got a little bit of pulling going on here. I think we can actually just delete all of those faces on the top. Get rid of those. So let's select face. I'm going to drag a marquee across the top like that, and then hold down Control key and drag a marquee across these on the bottom to deselect them. And we do want to hold on to all of these though, the ones that we just extruded. I'm going to kind of maintain that edge right there. So just everything on the inside, make sure you don't have anything else selected, and just delete those faces. And I see a little kind of angle right here in this edge. I'm going to just go ahead and straighten that out. Okay. So let's come to our front view, and we need to check and make sure that we don't have anything that has kind of crossed over our center. And in my case, I have. I've got a couple areas. That's pretty common when you're moving vertices around for that to happen. So I'm going to select the vertex, grab all these vertices. That's with the marquee. I just drag an entire marquee down that. And I'm going to hit R on the keyboard. I'm going to grab the X manipulator and drag it into the center. And what that does, it just flattens everything out. And I'm going to hit W on the keyboard, bring up the Move tool, hold down the X key, and this will snap to the grid. So you can see it's snapping over to each of the grids. And we just want to make sure that it is snapped to the center one right there. And then let go of X, come back out to object mode, and we'll go under mesh, mirror geometry, make sure we're in -X, merging with original and merging vertices, and hit mirror. Okay, and we can come out here. So if you want to make the smile any more extreme, you can always just grab these points here and make sure you're grabbing the ones on the same side, or you're going to have to delete the side and start over. So you can pull his face up if you want like that. And I think I selected something on the back side. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to hit Z, drag a marquee over that, make sure I'm deselecting everything back there. And just going to pull that up, and I'm going to grab these here in the front, kind of pull them down. And I think I'd like to actually kind of pull his mouth out a little bit. It feels a little flat back there. So I have a little problem back here with these merging that happened with the mirror. So you can go back in your inputs. This is your history right here, construction history, everything you've done. So into the polymer, I've got a merge threshold, and if you take that to 0.01, that should correct any of those problems right there, or it may have merged. So I'm going to grab those now, here and here, and I've got a few others selected, so I'm going to deselect. You can always go into wireframe and check real quickly to see if anything's selected or highlighted on the back side. And I'm just going to kind of pull his mouth out a little bit. It makes him look a little cuter. All right. And then I might just deselect these ones here on the inside of the mouth and then kind of pull that out a little bit further. Just so he's got kind of a little lip sticking out there like that. Okay. And I can bring it up a little bit. It's kind of overhanging. Okay, so I think we can insert our edge loops now. I'm going to go back to 1 on the keyboard and just insert edge loops. We'll do one for the mouth right here, one on the edge, and one on the outside of this extrude. Hold that together, as well as one on the inside up here. And I'll do it on this side as well. So one over here, and one right here. All right. Put an edge loop up here. Hold that together. In that process, come back to object mode, and let's take a look and see what he looks like. All right, we'll come back in the next lesson, and we'll make the eyes, the nose, the ears, and then move on to the hat.